Good evening, one and all. We'll be starting session in a minute. Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the International Webinar Series on Holistic Health, Well-being and Sustainable Development 2025, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 77 years of independence, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030, as part of awareness and campaigns. Viksit Bharat at 2047 in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Art, Sciences and Wellbeing and National and International Fraternity. Before we start today's sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's sessions. The registration form is active in the form of polls. We request all the participants to fill the registration form and also fill the feedback form at the end of the session in the form, which will be launched in the form of polls. So today, we are commemorating and celebrating World Introvert Day. Introverts worldwide get to celebrate World Introvert Day on January 2nd, the day after the dreaded festivities of the past year ends, when they can finally get some peace and quiet to recharge their social batteries. World Introvert Day is recognized as a day to understand the many introverts around the world better. The one day best celebrated not by throwing a party, but the cancelling one. It is a perfect day to celebrate introverts by leaving them alone and giving them the space they need. So introverts prefer calm environments and limited social engagements and are most happy in their own company. World Introvert Day was brought to life by the popular German psychologist and author of the free book Happily Introverted Ever After by Felicitas Hennig. On September 20, 2011, Hennig wrote a blog posted titled Here's Why We Need a World Internet Day on her website, iPersonate. It was the article that kickstarted the gears leading to the first Introvert Day. In this article, she said that it was high time that the world awareness was sharpened to the distinctiveness of introverts. She highlighted some of the discrimination introverts face because of their reclusiveness and be mourned under the appreciation of introverts by general society. Hennig suggested that the World Introvert Day be created and celebrated on Jan 2nd, a date she chose because introverts around the world draw a collective deep breath at the end of the draining holiday marathon that starts with Christmas and ends on New Year. So Swiss psychiatrist Carl Gustav Jung was one of the first people to define introversion as a concept in a psychological context. Jung, in his book Psychological Types, he theorized that every human being falls into two categories, introvert or extrovert. And we have one more category, which is in between, that is ambivert. And compared introverts to the ancient Greek god Apollo, who shines a light on understanding. He claimed that introverts are focused on the internal world of reflection, dreaming, and vision, which could make them uninterested in joining the activities of others. Since then, most psychologists have developed more expansive theories about introverts and introversion. Carl Jung defines introversion in 1921 and publishes a book, Psychological Types, which conceptualizes introversion and extroversion. The Briggs-Myers type indicator, inspired by Carl Jung's writing, the work of Catherine Briggs and her daughter, Isabel Briggs-Myers, in personality testing, leads to the creation of popular Briggs-Myers type indicator, also known as MBTI, in 1942. On January 2nd, the year after Felicitas Hennig put up a blog on post advocating a day to celebrate introverts worldwide. The first World Introvert Day is celebrated in 2012. Felicitas Sane writes an ebook to help introverts tackle their problems and develop their potential in 2019. Happy Introverted Ever After. In 2011, introversion was broken into four main types based on research by three psychologists, Jennifer Grimes, Jonathan Jeek, and Julie Norum. The four types of introverts are the social introvert, the thinking introvert, the anxious introvert, and the restrained introverts. It is hard to give an absolute percentage of the introverts because introversion and extroversion exist on spectrum. And most people are not fully extroverts or introverts. That's where the ambivert comes into play. So sometimes people can be extroverts and sometimes people can be introverts, depending on situation, place, time, and so on. However, but majority, the most of the time, the personality which dominates is typically the personality of the person. That extroverts, those who are outgoing, out socializing. Introverts, those who are reserved type. They enjoy their own company. They don't like to be in the crowd. It doesn't mean that they are antisocial or they don't like crowd, but they want to enjoy. They enjoy with the crowds where they get enough privacy and also some space even in the crowd. So, however, research from MBTI Global Sample reveals that 56.8% of the people in the world leans towards introversion. So we can say that roughly around 56.8%. So taken as 50-50. So 50% of the population are introverts and 50% of them are extroverts. So we have omnivert as well, which is someone who exhibits traits of both introversion and extroversion, depending on the specific situation. Omnivert or ambivert. Both terms are used interchangeably. So stay at home. It is a perfect day to cancel on that party your friends who are trying to drag you to celebrate World Introvert Day by simply curling up in the bed with a glass of hot tea and your favorite movie. Walk around in your pajamas and ignore all the noise of outside world and enjoy your own solace. Go on a quiet walk. Take this time to go on a nice long walk down a quiet road, take a pet along and enjoy some peace and calm. It's a perfect opportunity for some self-reflection. Introverts are at the most productive when they are alone. They choose World Introvert Day to bless the world with some of your creativity. Write a poem, paint something, build a website, or use any of your talents to bring some more joy to the world. So introverts are best when they are left alone and when they are better, good as an individual taskers, but they may not be good as part of team. It's not always that if we have always, there is an exception. If team is facilitating the introverts, then that would be the best team for the introverts. But if the team is not facilitating, that would be the worst scenario for the introverts and they will be not able to perform. So it depends on the environment. It's not on the introvert, but especially where introverts are involved, it depends on the environment. If they are placed in the right environment, they can do wonders. Otherwise, it's better to leave them alone so that they can do wonders alone instead of in a team or a group. Extroverts are quite opposite. If they are generally crowd-loving people. They always they are outgoing and they want always to socialize. They are more talkative. They want always to be engaged. So silence doesn't mean rudeness. We have to understand. So just because introverts enjoy being alone doesn't mean they don't want to be or they want to be alone all the time. They enjoy human company and also from time to time, like all others do. But they have their own limitations. They enjoy their own privacy and space. So silence doesn't mean rudeness or antisocial. Introverts often stay silent and can act awkwardly during social interactions, but this does not mean they are trying to be rude. They are not antisocial. They just want to enjoy their own space. They want to make themselves comfortable. So they can be also extroverted sometimes. So when that happens, when the environment is conducive, when people are facilitating them, once you are once an introvert, or once you get comfortable with introvert, or when introvert gets comfortable with you, then they can be extrovert only with you or someone who is comfortable with them. So that's why it's the responsibility of others to engage introvert. Because if you don't want to engage them in a proper way, then don't involve them. Better not to involve them. So if you want to engage in a productive way, positive way, then keep that in conscious and respect their privacy, respect their peace, respect their space, and don't expect that they are, you brag them or drag them in each and everything, making unnecessary chaos of the situation. They might not even join you later. They may completely avoid you. So always respect, people's their own spaces. So once an introvert gets comfortable with you, their inner world, wild child would come out. See, it's all about making them comfortable. Once you are comfortable, you will see a different person altogether. Even an introvert becomes an extrovert with you, especially with those who are comfortable. So it is making them more comfortable. That's all. So an easy way to see an extrovert in an introvert is create a world, create a space, create an environment where they feel comfortable. That's all. As simple as. But in real world, that is not as simple as, people tend to believe, people tend to, take undue advantage because of various reasons, especially in this competitive world. So, in fact, some of the world's most famous public speakers are introverts, including former US President Barack Obama. They aren't necessarily shy. So, on the contrary, introverts are often very interested in people. They can be the most avid people watchers. They don't hate people. They are very good observers. They are very good thinkers. They are very good philosophers. They observe everything. They think, they, look, they study people, they study the environments more than any other persons, because only once they feel that it is safe, it is comfortable, it is conducive, then they will interact, they will join them. Otherwise, they will keep them away. So they are more safe, in their own zones. So it also celebrates the achievements of introverts like Charles Darwin to Albert Einstein. Some of the world's most brilliant people have been introverts. So World Introvert Day celebrates introverted people and their contributions to the world. And it also helps recognize that introversion is a not limitation on people's abilities. So, they get a lot of time for themselves, for thinking, for, working on themselves and their concepts, ideas. So they are really, if provided opportunity, they can excel. They can do wonders in them, because they are more, concentrated, not like the jack of all, master of none, like kind of thing. You are into everything, but you are not. Ultimately, you are not anything. So not like. They are very focused, they are very interested, they are very committed, dedicated kind of personalities, where if they are nurtured well, if they are well stated well, facilitated well, they can do wonders. So whether you are an introvert or an extrovert or an ambivert, we all need to experience some calm in our lives. So World Introvert Day is a perfect day for quiet reflection and meditation to clear your head in a world full of noises and distractions. Even in the world of multitasking, we also need to be at times introvert, take time for ourselves. So today is also commemorated as Swiss Cheese Day in US every year. This beloved smelly and holy cheese has stolen the hearts of many around the world. Swiss cheese is a low, medium hard cheese originating from around Emmental in Switzerland. Since the holes in Swiss cheese are called ice, those without holes are called blind Swiss cheese. In the UK and most parts of Europe, cheeses are named after the region of Switzerland they come from, like Appenzeller, Emmental, etc. So Swiss cheese in Europe is like looking for an Indian food in India. You have to specify what type of Swiss cheese you mean. So a poll of 8,000 adults in the United States revealed that the most popular cheese in America is cheddar cheese. 1 in 5 respondents said that it was their favorite type of cheese. American cheese, mozzarella, and Swiss cheese place second, third, and fourth respectively. So while cheese is generally not great for children younger than 12 months, Swiss cheese is an exception, but still a norm. Most cheese varieties tend to be high in sodium, which can put babies at risk of obesity and hypertension. However, Swiss cheese naturally has low sodium, making it acceptable for children over 6 months. There are 1,001 things you can make with Swiss cheese, from cheese rolls to casseroles to then fire up the heat and get the cheese melting for a tasty, cheesy meal on Swiss cheese day. The bacteria that make human beings stink up is so closely related to the bacteria responsible for stinky cheeses that some poor mosquitoes even mistake cheese for human flesh. So it's a little human. So larger ice, tastier cheese. Swiss cheese with larger holes or ice enjoys a more extended fermentation period. So they generally have a more pronounced flavor. So there are some variants of Swiss cheese such as Emmentaler that don't contain any lactose. So good news for those with lactose intolerant. And German country is almost half of all Swiss cheese in the world, leaving the rest of us battling for over remaining measly 50%. So they eat most of the Swiss cheese. And there are over 450 varieties of cheese produced in Switzerland. So no matter how you like your cheese, you are sure you are going to find it among the Swiss. Swiss cheese is healthy, 100% organic, which means it's not just great for your taste buds, but for your body too. It contains no artificial additives, so you can be sure you're tasting Mother Earth nutrients and nothing else. But anything overtaken can be harmful. So you can accumulate extra fat. So consume anything but in limited quantities. Today is also commemorated as Run It Up the Flagpole and See If Anyone Salutes Its Day in US. It is quite fitting for this day to occur at the start of New Year, as the phrase run up the flagpole and see if anyone salutes means to test our new ideas. It is like a metaphor, idiom. You can have a million ideas buzzing through your head, but it is advisable to go to someone and get genuine feedback. And this will help you to take the next step of flesh them out in detail. We always have ideas running in our minds, a style makeover, a professional project, a personal hobby, but we often worry about how others will receive the idea. We fear rejection and criticism. However, we can always rely on a trusted source to run our ideas and see if they fly. Run it up the flagpole, see if anyone salutes it. They celebrates a phrase to describe the very process. The phrase gained popularity in the US between 1950 and 1960. It was widely used in the advertising and print media linked to the advertising agencies in Madison Avenue, New York City, where ad professionals often sat to brainstorm and then spitball their ideas. In the same period, comedians started using it to mock corporate culture, and now it's considered glitchy. So there are several similar phrases that mushroom later, expressing the same concept, such as send up a trial balloon, or throw it against the wall and see if it sticks, or drop it in the pool and see if it makes a splash, and so. So on this special day, be your most creative self says the opportunity to generally test new concepts. This day exists for people to share new ideas and try new things. Aim to celebrate it by just doing that. And don't let your fears hold you back. The worst that could happen is you'll come up with a new, improved idea. It doesn't even have to be serious business or career ideas. Today is also commemorated as Reconquest Day in Spain. This day commemorates the capture of Spanish and Portuguese territories from the Moors by the Catholic kings of Spain. A series of military campaigns known as Reconquista occurred between 718 and 1492, and victory that marked the complete reconquest of Spain took place in 1492 when Queen Isabella I and King Ferdinand V captured the city of Granada from the Moors. Following this victory, the Moors were forced to convert to Christianity and later expelled from the Iberian Peninsula. So today is also commemorated as New Year's Substitute Day in New Zealand. As New Year's Day falls during the week or following Monday, if the New Year's Day falls on a weekend, and we are going to do the most obvious thing to do is on a holiday. So chill. So New Zealand is one of the countries that are always first to celebrate New Year's Day, as it's 12 hours ahead of GMT day. After New Year's Day is a public holiday in New Zealand where people and business take this day off. But actually, New Year was not celebrated as, with this much, pomp and glory around the world. Once it has been commercialized, it is made part of, business promotions and all. Up until 16th century, New Year's Day on January was hardly a tradition, and different countries worldwide had their times when they celebrated New Year. Like, all these days are commercial days to promote their business, and ultimately the people are fools. In fact, they are part of, scapegoats of this business marketing strategies. So they, on New Year now that is synonymously known as Drunkards Day, Addicts Day, and whatnot, uh, and Wastage Day. So many people are coming up with new concepts because that is the most abused day of the year. Unfortunately, that should be the day with best beginnings, but unfortunately, that is becoming the most, maybe I think the worst day of the year will also be commemorated on 31st or 1st soon. So we should not do anything, to that extreme level that it turns everything into a bad this thing. So it's always there is a limit for everything. If you cross that limit, then the ugly side of that comes up. So that is how the celebrations, the New Year Eve or 31st December has crossed its limitation, and it is showing the ugly side of it. So up until 16th century, New Year's Day on January was hardly a tradition, and different countries worldwide had their times when they celebrated this New Year. Like every culture and tradition has their own New Year, like Indians have their own Hindu New Year, like Ugadi, and is also known by different names and cultures like Telugu New Year, Tamil New Year, Kannada New Year, Gudi Padwa and Maharashtra, and a lot of every culture has it. That is truly respecting diversity. It is not, especially the worst thing about the Western culture is they are destroying the diversity, and they preach, they are promoting diversity, but in fact the truth is they are destroying diversity. They are destroying religions, they are destroying cultures, they are destroying traditions, and they want only their tradition, their culture, their language, their religion to be all over the world. So this is the hidden agenda behind these, especially Western cultures or Western culture as such, which is being dominated across the world. That is killing the diversity, in fact. See, when you promote the diversity, then you'll appreciate everything. When you are not appreciating and when you are promoting your own, that means you are killing diversity. And unfortunately, people, that's why I keep telling time and again, educated illiterates. So that is the best word. We think that having degrees, we are literates. No, because we are misinformed, disinformed, and we are not, we are informed with all kind of false propaganda, false information, and we are persuaded with this propaganda, and we think that we are doing correct, but in fact we are the fools. We are that we are following all these things without understanding and blindly, and we are also doing blunders. So that is why nowadays more term is used like educated illiterates. So you are educated, but you are still illiterate. That means you have just mugged up something and you vomited in exams and got a degree, but that is of no, real value, because that has not converted into knowledge or wisdom. So that is of no worth value. So that is why nowadays a lot of skill development courses, skill development universities are coming, because that degrees, doctorates, whatever you are earning is not worth of anything. They are just a piece of paper, you know. So what is the use of them if you don't know the subject? If you don't really understand the subject, it is of no use. So that's how more of educated illiterates are growing more and more in number. And maybe soon we have to launch a day uh, celebrating educated illiterates, or maybe, or a program to transform these educated illiterates to educated literates, maybe a better term for such as such. So today is also commemorated as National Science Fiction Day in US. What it comes to fiction writing, the stories are only limited to one's imagination. And no matter what type of fiction stories you like, chances are a few of them involve some sort of science fiction topics. If so, this day, January 2nd, is a perfect day to celebrate this type of story. So science fiction touches so many different areas of literature. The most people can find one area that they love. Science fiction can include stories based in the space with aliens like E.T., or space battles like Star Wars. The genre also can include time travel, such as H.G. Wells' famous book, The Time Machine, or the Doctor Who franchise, or even superhero movies can involve science fiction. After all, who would believe a talking raccoon in the Guardians of Galaxy, or a rock-like skin of the Thing in the Fantastic Four without the science fiction angle? So if you are fascinated by the unknown and by the possibilities of what science can bring in the future, they probably would be or already are a fan of science. And that's why National Science Fiction Day is a perfect day to celebrate all these different books, movies, and television shows. You may not love sci fi, enough to consume its stories every day, but it's a special day. It's a great opportunity to spark your imagination. Today is also commemorated as National Pet Travel Safety Day in US. Whether it's a four-legged ball of fur or a winged wonder, pets need to travel in comfort and safety, which is what this National Pet Day or National Pet Safety Day is celebrated on January 2nd each year embodies. So, created by celebrity pet and family lifestyle expert Colleen Page, this day covers all areas of travel, be it by car or flight or even a little bike ride. Every trip should be safe one for you and your pets. And National Pet Travel Safety Day is dedicated to this cause. People have traveled with pets almost as long as they had them. So we suppose, but up until 1980s, only the richest people took their pets with them wherever they went for multiple reasons. First, money. Second, only a select few high-end hotels cater to guests with pets in tow. Thirdly, travel was limited to private rail cars or automobiles, limiting pet-friendly movement options for most regular people. So then in the late 1980s, 1989 to be precise, a Trans World Airlines TWA flight attendant named Gail Martz decided she wanted to take her pooch in her on the airplane. So the airline rules foiled her initial attempts and succeeded in frustrating her completely. Then she hit upon an idea. Her dog, Shih Tzu, was a tiny enough that she could carry it comfortably. She designed a purse that allowed her to carry her dog into a plane and keep it under the seat in the cabin. This soon to be immensely popular accessory was named the Sherpa bag and became the global standard for airline in-cabin bags for pets. Marts went on to petition nearly every airline to allow pets on board. When they realized how much pets could boost flyers' morale, multiple airlines began allowing well-behaved pets on board. Then in 2001, the European Union introduced a scheme that allowed EU member country citizens to travel freely back and forth with approved carriers using special pet passports called Pet Scheme. It soon expanded to include pets from the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. The world became a pet owner's oyster for the most part. Travel to certain countries with a pet is still subject to varied restrictions, like Guatemala, for instance, bans entry of pets without rabies vaccination, even if they have pet passport. Hotels and institutions were not far behind in the pet revolution. Large chains, smaller B2Bs, everyone opened their doors to pets. They realized something a Starwood study showed 76% of pet owners are more loyal to chains that allow pets, even if owners don't travel with pet themselves, as pets become more commonplace. Across households, pet owners are looking for ways to help keep their animal babies happy and safe as they travel. The International Air Transport Association, IATA, adopts new rules that dictate how pets travel in cargo holds of airplanes. Pet travel is now safer and more comfortable. In 2006, Subaru partners with the Center for Pet Safety to test dog harness for safety measures in 2030. The 2019 Jeep Cherokee is the latest in the series of vehicles to release pet-friendly features. This model has a crate so dogs can travel in style and comfort in 2019. In 2021, ban on import of dogs into America levied on 113 countries. This ban prevents dogs from other countries as well as those with American owners who have been on trips abroad from coming into US. The end goal is to prevent dogs with rabies from entering the country. So, want to travel with your pet? Find out if the place you are visiting has adequate, pet-friendly accommodations. After all, their vacation should be awesome too. Do a practice run first. Take mini trips the way you plan to take the big trip. Pets accustomed to the vehicle you plan to use, the people coming with you, and even the accommodations. They will be expected to travel in like trains. Check if your pet is as excited at the prospect of traveling as you are. If they would love to come along, make sure their comfort takes precedence over everything else. An unrestrained pet is like a living cell phone, distracting you as you drive. They are also in danger of getting hurt in case you brake hard to get into an accident. So, restraints are essentials in all types of vehicles. So, get a crate. These are best when you want to transport animals anywhere while keeping them comfortable. Feeding pets during a journey is choking hazard and might give them motion sickness. Feed them a few hours before travel to prevent bloating and indigestion. A toy or a blanket, whatever your pet takes comfort in, should come along with you on your trip along with your pet. It keeps them and you happy along the way. Ensure your pet can be identified. Give them an ID collar, microchip, or anything else that helps people identify the owner, just in case your pet gets lost on the trip. This day educates pet owners about various ways they can keep their pets safe while traveling. Multiple resources and events online can increase awareness and result in safer, well traveled pets. If your pet loves to travel, chances are the day just made him or her much happier and comfortable too. You got their safety covered, so now they are free to enjoy their trip. The more secure your pets are, the better you will be concentrating on traveling. There are fewer chances of you getting distracted and running into trouble because of your pets. The entire family is safer. Today is also commemorated as National Personal Trainer Day in US on January 2nd, when many people start working towards their New Year fitness resolutions. Personal trainers guide, motivate them, and train you to exercise correctly. Without them, many injuries can happen due to bad form or incorrect use of the equipment. So they are vital. Often overlooked part of society, personal trainers should get the credit they deserve for the great work they do. Over the years, personal training has evolved and the advent of technology has played a considerable role. Personal training is no longer restricted to in person training in gyms or homes. It has moved online. The trainers are also thinking of ways to provide the best digital training without impacting the final goal. They form digital membership platforms that boost accountability and post online workout videos for their members. Today is also commemorated as National Cream Puff Day in US, which is celebrated on January 2nd annually. Though this treat originated in France, it has been loved by Americans too. These light, airy, cream-filled desserts make our hearts sing. Other desserts may also come and go, but we are team cream puffs forever, and with a good reason, might we add. Cream puffs are classic, they are rosy elegance. The deserts transports us to quaint Parthian caves, sometimes even farther, back in time to Renaissance Europe. Cream puffs are delectable bites of history. The four ingredient mixture has remained a constant, but how cooks prepare and bake the mix give rise to different names: puff, profiterole, chokes, and buns. Pastries became a culinary phenomenon in the 19th century. Each one had distinct meaning and characteristics. Around this time, the cream puff we know and love became known in the pastry circles as profiterole. Today is also commemorated as National Buffet Day in the US. It is a perfect excuse to fill your plate and feast. Let's be real, food unites us all. The ingenuity of buffets is an endless variety on offer. A good buffet is like getting all the presents on your day. Every member of the family is left satisfied and you leave feeling like you won't need to eat again for at least a week. National Buffet Day is for those who can never decide what they want from the menu, for those who enjoy a plate piled high, and for those who just love to eat. The word buffet actually originates from the type of French sideboard used to serve food It is used in the 7th century by Frenchmen who would unexpectedly arrive at the home of women they wanted to woo. And it was simply a piece of furniture. It became popular in the second half of the 20th century. Long after smorgasbord, the word buffet was much easier to pronounce in the English speaking world and was considerably easier to remember. The buffet popularity has declined a little in the recent years, but they will always hold a special place in our hearts. January 2nd is the day to go to a buffet and make the most of them on what is offered. Today is also commemorated as Motivation and Inspiration Day in US. It's a day to sober up after all the festivities of New Year Eve and really get to work on those resolutions. At start of each new year, we all swear to heaven and beyond that, and that is this new year we will achieve our set goals and improve ourselves in general. Motivation and Inspiration Day is a perfect day to get off your butt and start working towards that. It is also a day to remember the tragic events of 9/11 in the US and get a renewed focus in your daily life. Today is also commemorated as Happy New Year for Cats Day in US. We all know our fellow friends treat every day as if they were special holiday, but with all the praise and attention they receive, it's hard to fathom how we could love them even more. However, there is really a day when cat lovers around the nation pay extra attention to their kitties. It's Happy New Year for Cats Day on January 2nd. Not only does this day give us a reason to slip more little catnip on our furry felines, it also gives cats in need of chance for a fresh start. Today is also commemorated as Ancestry Day in Haiti, which is celebrated on January 2nd every year to commemorate the sacrifices and struggles of the Haitian ancestors who laid their lives in the fight for freedom. It is a day to remember all the loss of living lives during the Haitian Revolution and the people's struggle for emancipation and self-determination, which pinnacled in a Declaration of Independence on January 1st, 1800. Haitians have these two holidays back to back and they commemorate them by having state events, dancing, eating the traditional jomo soup, and so. Today is also commemorated as 55 speed limit day in US. 55 mph speed limit day is observed on January 2nd to remember former US President Nixon's 55 mph speed limit proclamation. If you drove a car in the US between 1974 and 1995, you had to adhere to this law unless you were a daredevil rule breaker. In 1974, President Nixon signed the wildly controversial law intending to cut down gas usage in America and makes roads safer. Two categories of people celebrate 55 mph speed limit day. The first and most popular category remember the former nationwide speed limit with fondness and believe it should be reinstated. The second category did not experience limit but agree that it would do some good today. Regardless of your thoughts on the speed limit, 55 miles per hour speed limit day is a day to think about road safety and energy conservation and make smarter and safer decisions. Today is also commemorated as Someday We Will Laugh About This Week in US, which is celebrated every year from January 2nd to 8th to begin this year on a happy note. It's time to leave the old and make way for new. So only when we look back, laugh at, and change our perspectives, we can move on. So the improved outlook will help us to see world differently and adopt a more positive approach. So it's funny mystery who created this week-long celebration, but it indeed falls at the right time to bring much needed laughter into everyone's lives. People often make choices they regret only to later laugh about. If they do something embarrassing but are too flushed to see the humor in the moment, it's never wrong to laugh at ourselves It only helps us accept ourselves the way we are, because if we don't, we can't expect our other people. Someday we'll laugh at about this week encourages people to put their past worries in the past by laughing at them and moving on. The very fact that the celebration falls in the first week of a new year is a sign that in with the new and out with the old with the laugh. Laughter is often spontaneous and triggered by conversations or events. It exists in humans from the first few months of life, even in deaf or blind babies. Laughter transcends both socio-cultural and spatial divides since it has been observed. In other great apes, the evolution of laughter can be traced back to 10 to 16 million years ago. Laughter has so many health benefits that have proven by science. In 1964, author Norman Cousins developed a treatment for his ankylosing spondylitis and collagen disease, which included large doses of vitamin C and laughter induced by comedy films. Sigmund Freud has also theorized that laughter releases tension and psychic energy. Even academic works have used humor and laughter as their topics. A notable contribution to this, Henry Bergson, 20th Century Laughter, an essay on the meaning of the comic. With laughter playing such as important role in our lives, is equally important to celebrate a week of laughing at ourselves and letting loose. Laughter is indeed the best medicine. So with this, we shall end today's commemorations. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form, which has been raised in the form of votes. So see you all tomorrow at the same time. Take care. Good night.